Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this week's edition of the LTT Podcast, better known as the Let's Talk Thursdays podcast. My name is BrendenPlayz. Well, we are still on the road to Wrestlemania, and we're starting to learn a few more things. We're starting to unravel a little bit more of what we can expect to see at Wrestlemania. The card is starting to shape up a little further, and this week we'll talk about all the things that happened this week on Raw and Smackdown. We'll talk about the controversial Battle Royal finish, don't you worry. The Rock and CM Punk deal. And it was even an appearance by Finn Balor this week on NXT. So, are we about to see Finn Balor coming back very soon? We're going to cover that this week on the show. Also, this week we're going to talk about Lucha Underground and Netflix. I know I'm through 2-3 weeks behind on this deal, but I completely brushed over it. I completely forgot about it. I just want to give my little 2 cents on it and my opinion on Lucha Underground as the brand and where I can possibly see this brand going in the future. Bit of gaming chat as well. We might start that off this week as well. So, I put out a tweet this week saying that this week I pre-ordered the Nintendo Switch. Now, the Nintendo Switch, you're either for it or completely against it. I feel like you're going to buy it or you have no interest whatsoever. But I found myself leaning towards I want to buy it because, look, my girlfriend and I, we like to play video games together. Now, she's a casual gamer. She'll play mainly online games, shooters really, like Call of Duty, Battlefield. Recently, we've been playing the hell out of Battleborn together. We love Battleborn. It's fantastic. And I can't say enough great things about Battleborn. If you never tried it, it's fantastic. Many of you might think, oh, it's just like Overwatch. It's similar in terms of there's so many characters to choose from, but the game modes and how the game runs is completely different. And I personally enjoyed it a lot more than I did Overwatch. I love it. Anyways, the reason why this game is so great as well is because it is split screen. Now, split screen, that's a term that we haven't used very often in gaming for the last, at least 5 to 10 years. Split screens slowly been on its way out, and now it's at the point where finding a game split screen is rare. It's hard to find. It's never really around. Most games have now gone the online co-op route rather than on your couch split screen. So that doesn't work for me. I want to be able to play split screen. I want to be able to sit on the couch, one PS4, one big TV, and play together, which is why I enjoy Battleborn. Another game I got this week as well was Plants vs. Zombies 2, Garden Warfare. Now, you might think, well, Plants vs. Zombies, are you fucking kidding? That game sounds stupid. But it's actually really fun. It's actually a very enjoyable game, and if you actually really played it, you probably would realize that it's not so bad. Yes, it's a kiddie game in the presentation, but the way it actually plays, it's not really a kid game, and the way it actually runs, adults can play it just fine. So we've been playing that, and they've released an online co-op split screen as well, which when I heard about that, when I was looking into it, I was at the store. I'm like, oh, I really enjoyed Plants vs. Zombies 1, which I did. My friend Samir, myself and Keely, we played that, and we loved it. It was fantastic. It was really, really fun. And the reason why I didn't get the second one straight away is because there was just other games I wanted at the time, and I'd already recently finished Plants vs. Zombies 1, so I wasn't really ready to play that again. And my friend Samir was exactly the same. But, we've got it now, and we've been playing that, and that was really fun as well. So, online split screen is like what I'm looking for. And I feel like the Nintendo Switch may be that niche that I need filled. Because, look, many people might get the conception that I only play WWE 2K17. But realistically, you couldn't be more further from the truth. I play WWE 2K17. Whatever you see on my videos is that's what I play. That's as much as I play. And I'm actually not even playing the matches, I'm just recording them. But obviously I set the match cards, I'll download superstars and do things like that, and do some editing, things like that. That's my WWE 2K17 experience. I don't necessarily play the matches myself. And people might think, well, Brendan, that's really shitty that, you are a big supporter of this game, you play it all the time, but you don't actually play the game, you're just watching. But people enjoy games for different reasons. I personally love the commentary aspect of my videos. I love playing WWE 2K17 for my videos. If I didn't make videos, I probably would have stopped playing WWE games maybe on 2K14. I originally bought them because I was really enjoying them, but there's no modes for me to really sink my teeth into other than Universe Mode, and I had to create this wacky, crazy Universe Mode concept to really enjoy it. It's ridiculous. My Universe Mode is ridiculous. It's nuts that it's been going for 4 games. It's got its own salary cap, and when you think about it, it's ridiculous compared to what the actual Universe Mode offers you. And then you look at my Universe Mode, it's barely Universe Mode, isn't it? So yeah, so I had to really go above and beyond to find that extra enjoyment out of that game. But because I don't really necessarily find it from actually playing the matches myself. But anyways, I almost forgot what I was actually, the point of that was. But the reason, so I don't play WWE2K17 all that much, apart from videos. Aside from that, I'm playing everything else. I'm such a big gamer. I don't necessarily play one genre. My favorite genre is obviously first-person shooters. Battlefield, I play the hell out of, Battleborn right now is something I'm really enjoying. I love first-person shooters, and that's my go-to. If I have a good first-person shooter I can really play, I'll play that a hell of a lot. And then probably sport games as well. I do definitely enjoy, cricket games, NBA. I enjoy that, even a bit of FIFA. But aside from that, it's everything. I recently played Resident Evil. For Honor, I'm currently playing Sniper Elite, as you guys know from last week's show. And then Assassin's Creed I love, Uncharted, and a game that I'm really looking forward to that's coming out next week, Horizon Zero Dawn, which I'm going to talk about later in the show. That's a game that I want. So I like RPGs as well, so I like so many different genres of games. So I'm not just a WWE guy, but that's all you see me play because that's all I really want to post on my channel. I enjoy making WWE videos the most, so that's why I do that. So I'm a big gamer. I'm not necessarily playing the one game. I'm doing a lot of different things. Anyway, so for the Nintendo Switch, I just feel like it could fill that void. I think there's a chance more split-screen games and more, family games will be on there that I can play with my girlfriend and we can just play together and, whether that be online or offline, just games we can play together. Because I have so many single-player games on my PS4. That's why, you look at the Nintendo Switch, the big game that's coming out with it is Zelda. I'm not even going to get to Zelda because, for one, I've never really been a big Zelda fan. I had Zelda on the Nintendo 64, and I've been a huge, Nintendo guy my entire life. Super Nintendo was where I started gaming. Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3 are 2 of my favorite games of all time. Super Mario, what is it? I don't know. Is it Super Mario the one with Yoshi's Island? I call it Yoshi, but I think it's Yoshi. That was just phenomenal. One of my favorite games of all time. So, yeah, then there's that. And then my next favorite console, probably my favorite console of all time, is the Nintendo 64. Super Smash Bros. Was my favorite game on there. Mario Party was awesome. Mario Kart, Super Mario, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong Racing. Some of my favorite games. So now you think about it, did I enjoy this because I was a little kid looking back, nostalgia? I don't know. I put them on not long ago. I played some Nintendo 64 games not long ago. I still really enjoyed it. And I didn't even have the wrestling games on there. When I was, I did a video last week saying which game should I play, for my next old classic WWE series. I put No Mercy in there from the Nintendo 64. I never even played that game. So when I put that in there, I'm like, damn, that'd actually be really fun to play. I would actually really like that. It didn't win the vote, but that's something I would be interested in playing one day. But yeah, so I've been a Nintendo guy, and obviously the Game Boy, my God, I've loved the Game Boy. I played the shit out of that everywhere I went. Any car trips, I would play Pokemon on the Game Boy for hours and hours and hours and hours. I just loved the hell of it. So I've been a Nintendo fan for a long period of my life, but it's been the last 10 years that I've fallen off Nintendo, and now PlayStation is my go-to. I did have the Nintendo Wii, and I really did enjoy it for a while. I really enjoyed Wii Sports. I thought that was a good innovation. That was fun. If there's a new Wii Sports type of game, I think there is the game that I bought, 1-2 Switch or whatever. That's the only Switch game I'm buying. I know it's a little bit like Wii Sports in a way, but yeah. So the Wii had some solid games. Like I said, Super Smash Bros., Mario Party, Mario Kart. Wii Sports, those are the games that I like, but once again, it was, similar games we've seen in the past, not too many innovative games in a way. And I got close to buying the Wii U too, but I just never went for it. The only reason why I wanted to buy it was basically to play Smash Brothers, because I'm a huge Smash Brothers fan. But I just felt as though it wasn't really worth buying a console for one game. But yeah, so look, I've pre-ordered the Switch. I'm going to pick it up on the day it comes out, March 3rd. I've pre-ordered. They kind of conned me. I went to the store and I went there to buy Battleborn, and this is a month ago now. And basically, they said, "Oh, would you like to pre-order the Switch? You pay $50 and you can secure your place for day one release." And I was umming and ahhing at the point, deciding if I wanted to. I thought about it, but I didn't really think about it yet. So they kind of put me on the spot, and I said, "Yes, I'll pay the $50. And if I didn't want to, I could get my $50 back." And then I kind of just decided, you know what, fuck it, let's get it, let's do it, let's get it, let's see how it goes. If it sucks, it sucks. It's not a big deal. Yes, it's going to cost me like $500 for the console or whatever, but I don't care. $500 is $500. Who gives a shit? It should be fun, and it might fill that gaming void that I'm looking for. So hopefully it's good. So far, the signs look towards saying that it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, the graphics and whatever, it's not going to be amazing, but look, be honest, I'm not a graphics dude. I don't really give a shit. If the game looked great, Horizon Zero Dawn coming out next week is going to be looking amazing, phenomenal. That's awesome. But I've also just been playing, I talked about last week on the podcast, Godfather on the PS3, which, by the way, I haven't played since last week, and I need to. I'm going to play that tomorrow. It's so fun. That game is, 8 years old now, 9 years old, and the graphics are horrible, but I still enjoy it. I still have so much fun on it. I think it's still great. So graphics to me don't really bother me. And the graphics aren't going to look like 2008. They're going to look like, maybe scratching the surface on early PS4 days, maybe. So, anyways, so I have the Switch. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Not next week, but the week after. It's coming out just after next week's show. So we will have a review. Now, I'm only going to have one game at this point in time, so I can't really judge that game, but I can judge the console and whatever. And maybe I'll even make a separate video kind of talking about it. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. If you guys want to see that, let me know. Alright, so let's talk some wrestling. I wanted to get some gaming chat in because, like I said last week, I really want to kind of get some variety on the show and talk a bit of gaming. I have been gaming pretty much the entire week. That's all I've been doing. Today, the Australia versus India cricket series started, the test match series, so I've been glued to that. Australia's doing okay, not so great, so hopefully we do better. So cricket now is going to start taking over my life again. And soon the rugby league season is going to start too as well. So sport is starting to take over my life again, which is amazing. I'm so happy that I got sport again, and we went 2 or 3 weeks without any sport, and I was lost. I didn't know what to do. So thank God we got some sport going on again. But we've had plenty of wrestling again, as always, and I've been enjoying it. I enjoyed bits and pieces of Raw this week, and some things about Raw surprised me, especially, I guess, the main event, Big Show and Braun Strowman. We'll talk about that later, but that definitely surprised me. That I thought that was going to be an absolute shit show, and I thought the crowd was going to shit all over that, but it turned out to be pretty cool. So a few things about this week surprised me. A few things about this week were stupid and dumb, aka the Battle Royal on SmackDown. Even Naomi having to drop the title, is frustrating, so we'll talk about that later. But we'll kick it off with the Raw discussion this week, and we've got some questions later on as well. So keep your ears open for that later on. And by the way, if you want to send a question, please do so. We'll take some voicemails next week. I've been getting voicemails, and unfortunately I haven't gotten around to listening to them. I have been a little slack on the questions on the show, and I want to change that. I want to fix that. So from next week, if you're going to send a voicemail, I'll play it on the show if it's good, and you can have your voice heard on the show for the questions, and also on the YouTube comment section, on the Facebook page, or even on the BrendenPlayz forums. You can leave your questions, and please do so. Please feel free to do so, and I'll discuss it. A lot of you guys, like I said, over the course of the show's history, you guys send me questions like, What do you think of Big Show and Braun Strowman on Raw? That's a question I'm generally going to already answer throughout the show. So, we try to get some questions that are like, for example, let's load up a question later on that we've got. For example, what match types do you want to see in W2K18? That's a question, for example. So, just some questions that we might not cover. And especially if you've got any gaming questions, let me know as well. I would like for you guys to, maybe listen to some of my gaming opinions and my reviews. And, if you've ever thought of buying a game because I said it was pretty good, let me know. I'd like to hear that. So if you want to hear some more gaming chat, let me know as well. So we're just kind of, we're looking to spice the show up a little bit more and not just cover 100% wrestling, just, 85% wrestling. We'll splice in a little bit of this and that in between. Anyways, back to Raw. Let's finally talk wrestling. Start off with the Kevin Owens promo. Now, this promo, I think, has reminded everyone of the classic Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio promo that he cut. Lights out, the spotlight on Eddie inside the ring. He had the mask in his hand. Classic promo. If you've never heard it, do yourself a favor. Go and listen to it. It is a terrific promo. Eddie Guerrero at his finest. A great promo. I'm not going to say it's one of the greatest promos of all time, but it is a hell of a promo. And the passion, intensity, you just listen to every word. It's terrific, fantastic, and that was one of probably my favorite Eddie Guerrero promo I've ever heard him cut. It was terrific. Kevin Owens, pretty similar setup. The lights out, spotlight on him in the middle of the ring. I was actually surprised. It was a really nice change to have something different like that opening up Raw, and I felt it was a really perfect way to continue on from last week. Didn't explain what he did to Jericho, which I don't mind. Maybe he says, I don't need to explain. And, hyped up his match against Goldberg, which I think is good. I think Goldberg's going to be on Raw next week, so that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Look, it's a great promo, and it's just a great way to establish Kevin Owens. It seems as though they're going back to the dominant Kevin Owens character, which I guess means, are we going to see Kevin Owens drop this championship? He's now started to get all this heel heat and momentum, and for him to lose the championship, would we be happy, I guess, to see Goldberg take from him? I think a lot of people would be. I think, good revenge. If Jericho cost him the championship, I think people would be okay with it, but I feel like Kevin Owens is just really starting to hit his straps. He's starting to really catch on fire here, and I would hate for him to drop the championship and lose all that momentum just before WrestleMania. I think that would be a big mistake. So I still feel as though Kevin Owens should beat Goldberg. I still feel as though that's the right call. And Jericho and Owens at WrestleMania, or Finn Balor and Kevin Owens for WrestleMania. And I guess we'll talk about that now. Finn Balor made an appearance on an NXT event, a live event. So basically came out and, he threw a few guys out of the ring, and he, showing some physicality, doing a few moves. So I guess the rumors, we kind of realized that he's scheduling by now. He'd be pretty much healthy. It seems as though he's ready to go, and if not, he's very close. Which I don't like the fact that they put him on this house show, and I don't like the fact that they basically have spoiled his return. I think we were all expecting him to come back anytime soon. And is it going to be a massive surprise if he showed up on Raw next week? No. Not a bigger surprise as it would have been, if he had showed up, a month ago. So, I probably wouldn't have had him appear on a house show. He may not come back before WrestleMania. And personally, unless it's going to be Kevin Owens and Finn Balor for the championship, I would not have Finn Balor come back for WrestleMania. I know that would suck for Finn Balor to miss WrestleMania when he didn't need to, but in terms of storyline wise and his own character and the direction this show is going, he doesn't need to be there. If he's not involved in a big high profile match, it would be a waste of time having him there. So I would have him come back the night after WrestleMania and come after whoever's champion, because he technically didn't lose the championship, which is why I would have Kevin Owens still be the champion. Kevin Owens defeats Goldberg, whether it be DQ, Brock Lesnar comes in and screws over Goldberg, attacks him, throws the match out. That's the way I would do it. Goldberg trying to win the championship. Lesnar obviously hates Goldberg immensely, doesn't want him to win a championship, doesn't want him to get, another big win. And I know a lot of people saying, well, why would Lesnar care if Goldberg's a champion? He gets a title match at WrestleMania if Goldberg's a champ. That's great for Brock Lesnar, right? And yeah, absolutely. But, I think if they want to get an out of this situation, I think that's the way to go. Have Lesnar come in and just say, look, I already hate you enough. You don't deserve to be champion. You've got to beat me. I want you to, I don't know. But look, that's the way I would do it. And I just feel as though Owens losing it would be such a waste. And look, if they want to wait for Finn Balor until after WrestleMania, Kevin Owens is still champion. The night after WrestleMania, Finn Balor, his music, hits, and he comes out and approaches Kevin Owens face to face and says, "I want the championship that I never lost." And there you go. You've got your Universal Championship feud for the next few months, straight away after WrestleMania, when Jericho's probably going to be gone. Goldberg and Lesnar, who knows if they're going to be around? Who knows? No one really knows yet. But straight away, you've got your high-profile match for the next few months right there off the bat, all said and done. And that's a good match. People want to see that, and people will be happy with that, and away we go. I think people would generally like to see Balor take that title back. So that would be cool to see. That's how I would do it. And I think people want to see Jericho and Owens now, and if Jericho's going to lose, which he will, that's fine. But I think that match should be great, and I think people will want to see that. And I think it'd be even better if it had the Universal Championship. I just feel like Goldberg and Lesnar having that Universal title would just be a complete waste. A wasted opportunity for Owens and Jericho to have a even bigger match and have Kevin Owens really solidify himself as a top heel and a great champion. I mean, his title reign has been okay, but it's been all centered around Jericho. Now he has a chance for the next couple of months just to kind of break out on his own a little bit, build off this heel heat that he's got and this new attitude that he has, build off that and kind of set himself up for the majority of the year. I just feel like him losing it now to Goldberg would just lose all his momentum that he's got from this, big moment that happened on Raw, a huge moment. And now people legitimately are pissed off at him. If they have him lose to Goldberg, well then, they kind of crushed the whole Jericho and Owens match already, in my opinion. After Raw, we didn't see it, but The Rock came out for the live audience. And look, the big controversy, The Rock and CM Punk. The Rock called CM Punk in front of the crowd. He didn't answer, but he left a voicemail saying, "Hey, this whole crowd keeps chanting your name, blah, 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 blah." Is CM Punk coming back? That's the questions I'm getting. No. Now, unfortunately, as great as that was for CM Punk, I'm sure to hear, 10, 15,000 people chanting his name, I'm sure he knows that people want him back. I'm sure he knows, but I doubt that his ego, he could not put that aside to mend the wounds that he has with the WWE. He's obviously very sour with the company, obviously wants nothing to do with them. And I still believe he's under contract with UFC, if I'm not wrong, so he couldn't go anyways. But look, I just feel like CM Punk has got a big ego, and he's not one to kind of reach out and want to try and fix that. I think if CM Punk's going to come back to wrestling, it's going to be in a New Japan, or more than likely a Ring of Honor, and he'll want to probably maybe give back to a smaller promotion if he's ever going to come back for a match, which I still feel as though he will, and I'm surprised he hasn't yet. I guess the UFC thing is keeping him busy. And once that's all done with, which I'm sure he will be done with it maybe this year, if not early next year, then he'll probably look to go back to wrestling and do something there. Once he's got nothing to do with his life, I think he's the type of guy who strikes me as he needs something. He needs something to keep him busy, needs something to work with and work for and strive to accomplish. And I think, maybe a wrestling match might be the thing he comes back to once he's done with MMA. But, I don't think he's back. He won't be back anytime soon. It's just, from what I can tell, his relationship with Triple H is awful. Not much better with Vince McMahon. So I just, fortunately, we all love CM Punk. Trust me, I'm a huge CM Punk fan when he was in the WWE. I just don't see him coming back anytime soon. That's just a bitter pill we all have to swallow. And not even The Rock could convince CM Punk to come back. And I'm sure Punk couldn't care less about what The Rock probably has to say. But, Punk's his own guy, and he's just doing his own thing. And, I guess, look, hey, has he set the world on fire since he left WWE? No, but he's made some money in UFC. He's done his thing, and, he's doing okay. He'll be right. Diamond Dallas Page entering the WWE Hall of Fame was announced on Raw earlier that day. Look, DDP, is he a Hall of Famer? Yes, absolutely. Multiple-time WCW champion, had so many great matches in WCW. Now, I'm not exactly that familiar with his career because I am not that caught up with WCW. I know bits and pieces. I've caught, some pay-per-views here and there, but I'm not that familiar with his career. I know his rivalry with Randy Savage was a classic. Look, he had a failed WWE run, no doubt about that. He came in as a stalker to The Undertaker, who Undertaker was obviously not really interested in that storyline, didn't really want to do it. So that was just going to be, doomed to begin with. And I don't think many people really were buying it. I think it was just an odd, really strange storyline to begin with. So a failed WWE run. But his WCW run was incredible, a late starter in the business, and he, started off as a manager, transitioned into a wrestler, and ended up winning the big one. And WCW champion multiple times. He was champion at a time where the company was going down, but he was also champion at a time where the top company was doing well. So, and he was one of the other guys that when WCW kind of folded, that he still had some name value. And I think he's a guy who probably should have came in, more so for that invasion and done something there. And you bring in Sting, you bring in Steiner, you bring in Goldberg for that invasion, and hey, it's pretty good. Hogan, Nash and Hall, bring those guys in for that invasion, and it could have been a whole different story, to be honest. But so DDP, and we're not even mentioning the things he's done outside of the business. You look at the resurrection of Jake the Snake, that Netflix documentary says it all, really. What he's been able to do to, save the lives, yes, the life of Jake the Snake and Scott Hall, and also improve the health of so many people, not just wrestlers, but everyday people. DDP Yoga is incredible. It's done so much for the wrestling business, and he's helped so many wrestlers already, keep in shape and like I said, save the lives. That deserves recognition in itself, for the things he's been able to do. And yeah, his wrestling career was great. He had a great run. So, absolutely DDP, Hall of Famer. And I've got to say, this Hall of Fame class is looking pretty solid. Angle's in there, DDP now, Rock and Roll Express, and Teddy Long. Maybe Teddy Long's not as big of a name, but he's still decent. So, looking so far, this is pretty good. I'm guessing they'll probably add a woman in. We've been hearing Beth Phoenix, so I personally don't feel as though Beth Phoenix is a Hall of Famer, to be fair. So, maybe if I thought about it in 10 years' time and I'm thinking about, well, shit, who can we put in? Maybe I'll think about Beth Phoenix. But for right now, no. But so I'm guessing, probably someone who's died, unfortunately. Another woman. Maybe you don't normally add in like a lesser known name from the past, like a Japanese wrestler that we may not know, the majority of fans may not know of. You know what I mean? Like they normally add like a guy who's from 30 or 40 years ago that a lot of the younger viewers and myself even don't really know too much about, but they mix them in with like a big class, so it's not too bad. So they might add another guy like that in. So yeah, I think this class could be good. I don't know if there's going to be other big names to join. Maybe I think DDP, probably the co-headliner alongside Angle, probably would cut a good promo, good speech, I should say, not a promo, but probably have a good speech on the show. But, I think it's really shaping up to be a pretty solid Hall of Fame indeed. And on the main event of Raw, Big Show and Braun Strowman. I mean, I thought they were going to shit the bed. They were hyping this matchup as the biggest thing ever. They even reinforced the ring, so to say. I thought they were going to break the ring, but that didn't happen, thank goodness. We don't need to see that again, I don't think. But, Braun Strowman was terrific in this match. His athleticism, doing shit that I never thought he could do. And the crowd, I think, just was stunned that this was actually really good. And they got "This is awesome" chants. It was just a great match. I mean, Big Show and Braun Strowman. Who would have thought? Had a great match. And the more I see Strowman, the more he impresses me. This guy I think he's going to be a main event guy, multiple time WWE champion in, the next, throughout his career. He's going to have a great career, I believe. I feel like, when Kane and Big Show and those guys are gone, Braun Strowman is one of those guys who's going to step up and take that spot. I mean, Strowman is as big, and I think even scary as like a Kane. Maybe not so much, but he's close to like a Kane back in his prime. Strowman has got it. He's got the size. He's 6'9", 380. He's a big man. He's a legitimate strong man, and showing that he's not all that bad in the ring. He's really improved. He's not just a kick punch guy. He's got a bit of work. Big Show and Strowman were even doing wrist locks and shit. Who would have thought? It was just a fun match, surprising, and then Roman Reigns had to come out at the end. So it was odd that was the main event. I mean, I would have thought maybe Owens and Zayn, even though we've seen that match 18,000 times. And by the way, I'm so sick and tired of Sasha Banks and Charlotte and fucking Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I don't want to see that match ever again. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. How many times have we had it? 10 times on TV in the last year? I'm done with it. Please, no more. I get it. Best friends hate each other, but they seem to do that match once a month. I mean, it's just ridiculous at this point. Never again do I want to see those two wrestle. Maybe 10 years' time when I've forgotten about it. And, but God, not anytime soon. So, yeah, so anyways, Raw, not a bad show. A few surprises there, especially that Strowman and Big Show match, pretty good. A couple of little highlights there as well. But, most of it, not too much to really write home about. But, look, Enzo and Cass, someone contenders for the tag titles. I would have thought they would have waited until maybe WrestleMania to do that and win the championships there. They might win it at Fastlane. I'm really against people winning championships at a pay-per-view just before WrestleMania. And I get this flack all the time. People are like, oh, Brendan, your pay-per-view sucked. My Universe Mode pay-per-view sucked because I didn't have a title change, which I think is ridiculous. Because you can have a good show without a title change. And if the title change doesn't make sense, then don't do it. You look at Naomi. She won the Women's Championship. Bray Wyatt won the WWE Championship. 6 weeks from WrestleMania. You put those two wins at WrestleMania, how much more special is it? How much bigger is that? Bray Wyatt, a guy who's been here for, 4 or 5 years now. He's had pushes, he's had successes, and it's been taken away from him. He's been jobbed out, he's struggled, he's scratched and clawed to try and get to the top. Finally makes it, gets the big win, and happens at Fastlane, Elimination Chamber, when it should happen at WrestleMania. So, I'm just kind of really annoyed at the whole trading back and forth. And, again, we saw Bayley, she's the women's champ now. Was she going to give it up, or was she going to keep it? I would have just had to give it up and just pretend that she never won the title. Don't even put it in the history books. Because, again, Bayley, should she be winning the championship at fucking on a random Raw, or should she win it at WrestleMania? Get the big win. I get it, they may not want to do 3 in one night, but God, at least give us one. Someone winning the belt for the first time at WrestleMania. Because that's what it's got to be all about. WrestleMania is like you culminate, you build, you finally hit that big magical moment. But you do it at Fastlane, you do it at Elimination Chamber, you don't do it at the big one. It doesn't make any sense to me. Speaking of Naomi, she had to relinquish the championship. Her injury, a little worse than what we thought, so I guess her title win was a complete waste of time. Alexa Bliss gets it back. I guess now the plans have to reshuffle for WrestleMania. I'm hearing that they might not even have a women's match at WrestleMania for the Smackdown, so who knows? Maybe they'll have a multi-woman match. Bliss is the champ again, 2-time champ. I mean, look, not WWE's fault. They wanted Naomi to get that title win and run with it for a while. Didn't want Bliss to win it back so soon. I can understand. I can understand. Who else could they really turn to? Give it back to Becky Lynch. I nearly would have even considered Nikki Bella winning it. And I know you're thinking, well, are you crazy? Really, Nikki Bella? But I just considered, have Nikki Bella hold it for a month or two, and then just have Naomi come back and beat her for it. Just have someone who's already been champ, someone who can already hold the belt. Maybe Natalya would have been the better pick. Just have her hold the belt for a while, and then then lose it to Naomi. I think, Natalya probably would have been the perfect option. Natalya, she wins it, and that's a nice little reward for Natalya. She's been doing well. She has been champ for a long time. People wouldn't mind that. Natalya wins it, holds it for WrestleMania. Naomi comes back after WrestleMania, wins it back from Natalya, and you go back to what you were going to do originally with Naomi. Natalya gets a little title run for some recognition for her good work, and you don't have to give Alexa Bliss her second title reign when really you want to move Alexa Bliss onto something else. And you don't want to give that to Becky Lynch either. So Natalya is someone who can just give it to as a safe option, who can run with it for a little while. And even, I think it would work. Build off her character. She got a win over Nikki Bella and the Falls Count Anywhere match. So I think that would have been a better option in my opinion. And, maybe if you wanted, you could have had Nikki and Natalya for the championship on a SmackDown before WrestleMania. But, that probably would have been my pick. Natty or maybe even Nikki. Just one of those two veterans to hold it until Naomi comes back. Obviously, Natalya would be the better option because she's a heel. Naomi's the babyface to come back and verse. I just feel like Alexa Bliss winning it back. Yes, we're just going back to what we were already doing. Like, we're pretending that nothing happened. But, if could have done something a little different there. Just spice it up a little bit and let Bliss move on to something else. But, whatever. The Battle Royal finish. What a disaster this was. I mean, come on. It's clear as rain that AJ Styles' feet hit the floor. They didn't even show a replay. They didn't even try to pretend that. I mean, it was just bad. Just bad. I mean, look, I get it. That's not what they wanted. They wanted to do the rematch next week to draw this out a little further on and have that, big match, next week to set up for a SmackDown, which I think is going to be a fun match. No, don't get me wrong. I'm really looking forward to that. But, you could have even, if there was controversy there, you could have just said, okay, I guess they kind of did that. But, Styles lost, but, they could have just said, okay, it was close, but we'll give you a chance to beat Harper for it next week. That way, you acknowledge that Harper won, and you don't look so stupid. I mean, WWE just look like, it's clear that Styles hit the floor first, but let's ignore that and pretend that it didn't happen and that it was closer than what it really was. You could have just called an audible and said, look, Styles, you lost, but it was so close. We're willing to give you another chance next week. Harper one-on-one in the main event of SmackDown next week. Everyone would have went home happy. You get the match they wanted. It doesn't look so ridiculous, and I don't think people would have been in such an uproar. And you might have said, well, what the fuck was the point of the Battle Royal? True, but because, it was so close, you could just say, all right, well, whatever, it's close, and, they want a clear-cut definitive winner, fair enough. And I guess that's really what they are trying to do next week, but it just would have eliminated some of the bullshit in between, because right now Harper's not technically the number one contender defending that opportunity. Instead, it's no one is, and now they're going to crown a new one next week. So just a little minor differences that I think would have helped that. But just looking at the Battle Royal, a few guys in there like Mojo Rawley and a guy like Apollo Crews. I like Apollo Crews a lot. He's improving. His status on the card is on the improve with the Ziggler thing. It's getting better. So him being in the match, I'm not completely against. Kalisto, couldn't care less about. But I guess it was to keep the Ziggler thing going, which I have no problem with. But I guess it's not looking great when the only guy who can really fit in the Battle Royal to make up number 10 is Mojo Rawley. I personally would have had maybe 15 in there, but I guess who you going to put in? The Ascension, Tyler Breeze, Fandango. So I get probably why they limited it to 10. And it was a long match. They kind of really, drew it out for as long as they possibly could. And I find it's awkward. They have like a 5-minute commercial, 3-minute commercial to be fair, no eliminations, and they come back from a commercial straight away and there's boom, 2 eliminations. I just find that funny, and just it's so obvious that they're not doing anything during the commercial break to potentially get an elimination. So anyway, look, I've got no problem with it. I think Harper will win next week against Styles to be crowned the number one contender. And then I think Randy Orton's going to, say, hey, I'm not going to let this happen. I won the Royal Rumble. I'm going to be in the match. They help Bray Wyatt win. And they'll have a triple threat match. And I feel like probably it'll either be Randy Orton winning it and beating Harper. And, then you start the dissension between Randy and Bray. Or Bray Wyatt wins and, with Randy Orton's help or whatever. And, you continue that storyline and maybe move on to something else or to someone else after WrestleMania. But all I know is this, really are hot-shotting Luke Harper, because if he beats AJ Styles, this guy has gone from, being the sidekick to Bray Wyatt to now potentially one of the major matches of WrestleMania within 3 months, and just starting to all of a sudden win these big matches and look like a legitimate main event guy. Honestly, if they want to keep him at the top, I think that's great. I think Harper's terrific, but it's just a legitimate hotshot, isn't it? But that was all there really is to say about this week's SmackDown. The last little wrestling thing I want to chat about this week was talk a little bit about Lucha Underground. Now, I know I'm late on the news, as I said earlier in the show, but I missed it, and I just kind of, glossed over it. But I wanted to chat about Lucha Underground going on Netflix, and how this will affect someone like me, and how this will affect your potential viewers, and what this could do to Lucha Underground. Now, look, Lucha Underground, I watched half of the first season, I think. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. A big reason why I stopped watching it was it just wasn't, available. I could have found it easily if I wanted to, but I guess I just wasn't, it just wasn't clicking in my mind. It just wasn't, feeling the need to watch it. I wasn't feeling obliged to watch it. I felt like I could just go and watch it any time. It wouldn't really matter. I didn't really care. And it wasn't that I lost interest, I wasn't liking it, I really was. I just feel like, if I went on Netflix and Lucha Underground is right there in front of me, and I can just click on it and watch every episode right in one spot, on any device I want, I'm going to watch that. And so when Lucha Underground hits Netflix, I will rewatch Lucha Underground. I don't know if I'll rewatch Season 1, because I did watch quite a lot of it. Maybe I'll watch the last episode, the big special at the end, and start on Season 2. But look, honestly, I think this is a huge step for Lucha Underground. Netflix is huge. It's all around the world. It's available everywhere. And it opens the door to so many new potential viewers. And, even if you don't like wrestling, you might just click on it. You're looking for something to watch. It's 45 minutes long. All right, let's check it out. What's this all about? And you might look and go, oh, then, this is actually pretty cool. And you might actually start watching it, become a fan. And obviously getting on Netflix gets its monetary benefits as well. So it's only going to benefit Lucha Underground in so many ways. Big exposure, money coming their way. This could be big for Lucha Underground. Now, is it going to, cause them to be the biggest company rival to WWE? No, but, it might just give them a bit of a boost, and they might see themselves as that alternative and, bump themselves up potentially even to a number 2 company. Maybe they'll even surpass Ring of Honor. Now, the only thing I think Lucha Underground will struggle in is the fact they don't do live shows, and their shows are taped well in advance, and there's a good reason for that, because they need to do the production side of things, and it's more of an episodic show. It's a TV show, essentially, and that's wrestling, which is fine. I don't personally really ever see many Lucha Underground spoilers. Honestly, sometimes you have to kind of dig a little deeper to get them anyways, so that's not too much of an issue for me. I don't really, if there's a show that I like, I won't look at the spoilers, simple as that. But, if it's TNA, I still don't look at the spoilers because I don't give a shit. But, if it's a show that I don't like, then I won't, if I do like, then I won't look at the spoilers because I want to watch it for myself, So if you're one of those people that look at the spoilers of a show that you enjoy, you're nuts. I don't get it. For example, you might look at the Walking Dead spoilers because you missed the episode on Sunday, and you look at the Walking Dead spoilers the next day instead of watching it when you're a big fan of the show. That to me is nuts. Why don't you just fucking watch the show? I just don't get that. So I would rather just, put the show on and actually watch it for real. So just the availability for me is going to be a big factor in me getting back to Lucha Underground. Obviously, I watched so much wrestling, I felt like that was another big reason why I stopped watching it. But right in front of me, I click on Netflix, I'm a subscriber to it. If it's right there and I can watch it whenever I want, I'll watch it. And I'll get back into it, and I think I'll become a fan again. So this is great. This is great for wrestling. It's a big step for Lucha Underground, and hopefully they have some success from it, and hopefully they can build off it and go from there. And now we're pretty much going to get into our questions for this week. Now, I was going to chat a little bit about Horizon Zero Dawn, but I pretty much covered a little bit of it earlier in the show. Basically, the game's good, get it. That's basically my assumption. The game looks really, really good. I'm really much so looking forward to it. I think it's going to be, a really fun, enjoyable game. So, I just have to wait maybe to a price drop to play some of my other games before I get to it. But I'm very much so looking forward to it. And it's good to see some more PlayStation games that are actually pretty good coming out. When the PlayStation first dropped, some of the exclusive games were decent. Not amazing, just decent. Which I think is a little disappointing because, when you get a new console, you want the exclusives to be great. And when they're not amazing, that can be a little frustrating. So hopefully, we start to see a bit of a trend here. We saw, Nio or whatever the hell it is. That got big reviews as well, so it's looking pretty good for PlayStation. It's starting to get a little bit more, obviously Uncharted last year as well. So things are really starting to pick up. All right, questions this week. This one comes from, how do we say this one? Eri Gropus. He says, "Hey Brendan, I started watching you around the time of Universe Mode for W2K16 come out, and I went back to watch the older ones and keep watching to this day. Anyways, I haven't really had the time to watch your podcast in a while, so I don't know if you've already answered this. How much of what is currently happening in WWE affects your choices in Universe Mode? For example, bringing in Goldberg to have a shot at the world title and bringing in the Cruiserweight division for NXT. The latter is what I think WWE should have done in real life, for example. A big part. My WWE Universe Mode show is still based off current day WWE. So, and to be honest, I have to. The Cruiserweights, everyone was slamming me. Brandon, bring in the Cruiserweights. Can you bring in the friggin' Cruiserweights for months and months and months and months? Now what I get all the time is, can you make 205 Live? Make 205 Live. Can you bring in the Women's Championship? Anytime WWE does something, my fans want me to do it on my show. And I decide if I want to or if I don't want to. More often than not, I do. I think the Cruiserweight Championship is a positive thing, and I think it's a perfect fit for my NXT show, which is why I put it on there. And, because it wouldn't fit on my main show. So I've got, an extra championship to have, because a lot of people were saying, Brendan, can you make an extra championship for NXT? And I was like, you know what? I'll make the Cruiserweight that championship. So it has a major impact. I brought in Goldberg because Goldberg's back on TV, and if he's a regular wrestler on the main show, then he should be a regular wrestler on my show, shouldn't he? And that's how it is. If someone returns, then I'll most likely bring them back and feature them on my show. And I think that's the way to go. I think, sometimes I'll bring my own guys in, I'll do my own thing. Trust me, I do. But, if something happens in WWE and I want to reflect that on my own show, then I think if it's a good idea, then I definitely will do that. And, it has, I guess it has a pretty big influence, maybe, 80% influence of a lot of things I do. It might come from that. Thomas Speller. What match types do you want to see in W2K18? Of course, we said this as an example earlier on, but this is the question, legitimate question. What match types? Look, honestly, any match types that we ever see in WWE, I would like to see. Look, for example, I want to do a 3 Stages of Hell match, an ambulance match, these types of matches. I would love to do War Games. War Games would be sick in WWE 2K. So any match types I've ever really seen that were pretty popular in WWE, I feel like should be in the games. I feel like we should have the option to do everything. Even if we haven't seen it for a while on WTV, I think we should have the option, just to give us the option to do whatever we want, because that's what the game's all about. They say it all the time, fantasy warfare or whatever. Well, why not actually give us fantasy warfare and give us what we actually really want? He has another question here as well regarding 2K18. He said, what game modes do I want to see in it? Look, you guys all know I love GM mode, and it's no secret, I'm a massive fan of GM mode. I have always been and always will be. I even kind of really create my own show very similar to GM mode. So would I like to see GM mode come back? Absolutely. GM mode coming back, Raw versus SmackDown, maybe even add NXT in there as well, would be terrific. And would I drop Universe Mode for it? Jeez, I would be freaking tempted to, or I would even convert my Universe Mode and put it on to the GM Mode and do that. Or maybe I'd do both. Maybe do GM Mode and then maybe do a Universe Mode as well, because I'd be, I'd be very tempted. So I love GM Mode. It's so fun. And I really feel like, and right now, current day WWE gaming, it can work. GMO would not have worked if the brand split wasn't prevalent. If there's no brand split, there's no GMO, there's no point. Now there's a brand split, I think it could work again, and I would love to see it. Any other modes? I mean, look, I don't really like Road to WrestleMania mode. I don't like Showcase mode. Career mode, I think, still sucks. So I really have no other desire to play any of those. Look, if they want to create a better story mode, maybe, I don't know. Like, I like the old school, like, what was it, 24, WWE, what was it on 2007? I can't remember the career or story mode on WWE 2007 Smackdown vs. Raw and those types of games. That was really cool. So if they can recreate something like that, I'd be okay with that. I think that'd be pretty fun. So I'd be down for that. Question from John Moynihan: what do you think of the New Day hosting WrestleMania? Look, I feel like it's unnecessary. This is probably just something to give New Day to do. I guess they have no storyline, they have no feud for them. So this is a way to get New Day on the show, have them something to do a couple little skits, liven up the crowd a little bit. Personally, I don't think really we need a host. I think the host does really nothing in the end, but it could lead to the legends coming out and beating the shit out of them, or a heel coming out and do something with him. It could lead to that. So if they're going to get an angle out of it, then sure. But if it's just there for them to do their catchphrases and sing and dance, then I could go without it. Johnny Dixon: do you think that Goldberg could be screwed over by Lesnar at Fastlane to build their feud even more and to keep the belt on Owens? Well, we talked about this earlier, but absolutely, this is the way to go. WWE needs to do this. This is exactly what has to happen. Keep the belt on Owens. Let him come after Jericho with the championship. Have the title there. That's a big match. You don't need to lessen that by not having the title involved. Lesnar and Goldberg is big enough. We don't need two part-timers coming after the championship and holding the title and feuding over it and not having it defended for 3 months. We should have it on Owens, if not Finn Balor later on, like I said earlier, and keep the belt on a full-time guy to keep the belt on the spotlight, on TV, doing something. Cameron Fox: what do you think of all the duplicates in the WWE games or wrestlers? Do you think it's a waste of a roster spot? Well, I guess he's probably saying this because of the new DLC pack that's dropped, the showcase pack that dropped on 2K17 this week. Yeah, look, duplicates, I've been against it for a while. I think you should just have alternate attires instead of duplicates, and I think they've done more of that this year, so that's not been an issue. DLC, I don't really care. Look, if it's DLC, it's DLC. Would I like to see new wrestlers? Sure, but I think they did a pretty good job with this new DLC pack. I was actually quite impressed. There's a lot of new names in there, and I added A-Train or Albert, Tensai, whatever you want to freaking call him, to my universe mode. So I was pretty happy that I got to add an extra guy there. So I think, honestly, I'm okay with that. I think it's pretty cool. I think, the more wrestlers, the better. And, if there's a duplicate, if there's an old version of him as a DLC, I'm not completely against him. But would I like to see them as just an alternative attire, and, people can play around with that? Probably, yeah. I think it is a bit of a waste of a spot. And if, when they say, we have 120 new people on the roster, and only 80 of them are actually people, and then the rest of them are duplicates, that's pretty friggin' annoying. So they're kind of going away from that this year, so it's not that much of an issue. Yes, the DLC, but, for the most part, they've been pretty good with it. Another one from Cameron. He said, do you think Enzo and Cass will win the tag titles at Fastlane, I should say? I hope not. I think, once again, I want to see wins happening at WrestleMania. I don't want to see wins happening on a random Fastlane pay-per-view that is garbage generally. So can we keep the big moments to the big pay-per-views? Thomas Speller: who do you think John Cena's next big rivalry will be against? Well, from SmackDown, it looks as though they're going to officially do The Miz, Maurice versus Nikki Bella and John Cena. They're setting it up. Maurice screwed over Nikki. The Miz screwed over John Cena. So it looks as though that's where we're headed. Which, look, is it a waste of John Cena? Yes, I think so. Just a random tag match on the show. But, honestly, what else could he really do? I mean, could he have a match against Baron Corbin? A match against Dean Ambrose? A match, would I like to see AJ Styles and Cena again? Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't be against it, but I've kind of, they've had some, interactions over the last few weeks, so I guess it's kind of played out now. So there's really not much else for Cena to do. And look, they want to get Nikki on the card. They want to get Cena on the card. And I guess they want to get, Maurice and Miz on the card. So this is a solution and, whatever. I'm hearing rumors. There's been some podcasts talking about how Cena's going to propose to Nikki Bella in the ring after the match. I think that's bullshit. I think that's a big, bullshit story. I just think they're going to have a match. Nikki and Cena will celebrate, and that's it. I don't think there's going to be any freaking marriage proposal. I could be wrong. I hope for Nikki's sake I'm wrong, but I doubt it. Alfonso Romero, how do you feel about this year's WrestleMania being much worse, I guess, is that a word, than last year's? I don't think it's worse. We don't even know the card yet. It's hard to really say that it's worse. Goldberg and Lesnar I think will be good. If we're going to see Jericho and Owens, I think that would be fantastic. You got to remember, last year's WrestleMania sucked. It really did. The booking was just outrageous. From Zack Ryder winning the friggin' ladder match out of nowhere to AJ Styles losing, and the terrible Reigns and Triple H match. It was just and Ambrose, was that Ambrose and Lesnar that year as well? That was horrible. It was not a good pay-per-view. WrestleMania last year was not good. This one I think is shaping up to be a lot better. The only match I think could really be a bomb might be the Undertaker match. That's something I am concerned about. I enjoyed Taker and Shane last year. I think that was fine. But this one, I'm really starting to worry about Undertaker's health. He's really not looking great. So that match could definitely bomb. But then, look, the rest of it's going to be okay. They're probably going to do a fatal four-way with the women on Raw for the women's championship there, which I think is going to be fine. And then we'll have, probably a multi-man match for the Intercontinental Championship or US title. Well, probably not US title because Jericho's champ, so maybe Intercontinental Championship, maybe a multi-man tag match, maybe even a brand versus brand match. Look, there's a few different variations I think will be fun. I think we'll get a good show. I think it's going to be, probably not the best WrestleMania you'll ever see in your lifetime, but I think it'll be a decent one. I think it will be better than last year. So to say it's going to be quote-unquote worse, I think that's probably too early to say. If it's the card, if we get Fandango versus, Apollo Crews on the card, then sure, but, I don't think we're going to get to that extreme anytime soon. And final question for today's show comes from Cameron Fox. When do you think Cena will win his 17th world title? I think Cena will win it in the next couple of years, and I think when he wins it, that'll be the last time he ever wins a championship. And that'll be it. All said and done. I don't think he's going to win that much more. I don't think he should. I think Cena, fair enough, he gave him the 16th. I think, by the way, giving him the 16th and to lose it 2 weeks later was absolutely asinine and a waste of time. Once again, big moment for Cena. Wins the 16th championship finally. And it happens, I guess, at the Royal Rumble. That's pretty good. That's fine. But again, a WrestleMania moment could have happened. Maybe people would be more pissed off if it happened to WrestleMania, fair enough. But again, a big moment. Okay, we'll give that one a pass. It's Royal Rumble. But to lose it 2 weeks later, waste of time. It could have happened, had it, won at WrestleMania, had a 3-4 month title reign, sure. But I guess, his schedule at WrestleMania is not looking good, so maybe they wanted to get it out of the way now. So, look, I think he'll win it again in a few years' time, maybe even later this year. And I think that should be his last reign, but knowing WWE, they'll probably get him to 20. But that's all we have time for this week's edition of the Let's Talk Thursdays podcast. I do hope you enjoyed this week's edition. If you did, make sure you do leave a like on the episode. Subscribe to see more episodes coming away every single Thursday. I think next week we are going to be previewing Fastlane, so keep an eye out for that one. If you can, share the show around to a friend, and of course you can keep on giving ratings on iTunes and Spreaker and wherever the hell else you're watching. That would be appreciated. And also, send in a question for next week with our Fastlane preview. We'll chat about Fastlane, so send in a question for the pay-per-view preview. And you can do so in the YouTube comment section, on the Facebook page. We generally post the Facebook page questions on Wednesday. So if you want to leave a question, keep an eye out on Wednesday for that. And you can check that on facebook.com/BrendenPlayz. And also on the website, BrendenPlayz.com, with the voicemails. By the way, on the website, I've updated the NXT roster for Universe Mode. I know I've been meaning to do that for a while, so the whole entire NXT roster is now available to view on the website BrendenPlayz.com. So if you're looking, if you're interested in checking that out, make sure you do so. That's it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all next Thursday.